Hi, Tim. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today and looking forward to taking you through what's been our progress over the last 12 months and our plans for the next 12 months. We'll go to the next slide. So I think what's important to realise is that sometimes companies get into are looking over the horizon too much and don't get a chance to reflect on what they've achieved over the past 12 months. And one of the really important things that we're able to demonstrate is that we have achieved a tremendous amount and in fact achieved what we set out to do 12 months ago. So I'm currently sitting in our under construction Mildura facility, which we're able to raise some capital and also get some bank finance from the National Australia Bank to get that first stage completed. And I can report that it's a flurry of activity up here with the construction crews making great progress on both the cultivation but also the manufacturing facility, and we're still on track for practical completion at the end of this year. Obviously, a helpful thing that happened in relation to practical completion was the licensing of the facility by the Office of Drug Control. So, there are no delays in terms of commissioning and getting started in the facility as will be fully licensed. Late last year, we were able to get our first order of product, and we talk about what we've been focused on. We've got a number of domestic manufacturer and supply agreements, and also supply agreements into the UK and also Germany. In December last year, we got our first order out to the UK. In January, we announced that we'd made a strategic investment to create a beachhead for us in Europe through with a group called Iuvo Therapeutics. And we shipped to them our first order of over 20,000 bottles of oil in April. So, the translation of that strategic investment and also having that beachhead in Europe was a terrific step forward once we got that first order out the door. In March this year, we started the clinical trial at the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Research Institute around the palliative care and the treatment with medicinal cannabis of patients with advanced breast cancer, and that recruitment and ongoing evaluation of that medication continues at the moment. And probably one of the most significant things we completed over the last 12 months was the acquisition of the Satifarm business from a Canadian group called Harvest One. And we're now busily working on the integration of that business into our own. And we see just terrific opportunity in that business and also the platform technology that comes with that business. So if we move to the next slide, I think, and Fleeta touched on this in her presentation, is, we are, as we move into looking at financial year 22 and beyond, is the product differentiation and moving beyond commoditization. Cassandra touched on lots of products and prices being driven down. Our focus now, and the Satifarm acquisition was central to us starting our first registration process, but acquiring or developing patent protected positions on products or technology that we can move forward to registration and have a period of exclusivity to recover the investment from that registration and product development process, is certainly a priority for us. And I know there are a number of companies in the industry who are also, taking the same view into the value of having a differentiated patent protected product range. We go to the next slide. The global medicinal cannabis market is still the significant priority for us. We see the Satifarm products, and Satifarm product uses a technology, a microencapsulation technology that improves the bioavailability, so the amount of drug that moves through the gut into the intestine and then gets absorbed and into the bloodstream by about a factor of 3 to 4 compared to an oil and some of the other current products that are available on the market as an oral product. So that improved drug delivery, that improved availability of the active ingredient creates a much more predictable drug response. So again, it's a capsule form, so it's a form of product that doctors and patients are very familiar with taking. So we were very excited when this opportunity came along. And currently the Satifarm product range is only CBD products, but we're moving a manufacturing line into our new facility here, and we'll be manufacturing products, both CBD only products, but also products containing THC towards the end of the year, and looking at product launches of those products into the first half of calendar year 2022. But as Cass alluded to earlier, the Australian market continues to grow momentum. We've got a number of manufacturer and supply agreements in place in Australia now, and moving to a cadence of regular orderings across regular orders from a number of those customers. So we'll see over the next 12 months is that we'll work in the background to help those customers achieve their objective and grow their share of the available market. Our investment in Mildura is really around operating at scale and then reducing the operating costs that go along with being a scale producer and scale is everything in any business, and we quickly identified that as being the opportunity for us. The ability to grow flower, process it, manufacture it, and finish products in large volume is really where we're going to drive the operating costs, the cost of producing a packet of medicine to a globally competitive level. And we see that as being terrifically important to not only have a differentiated product that we can push on for registration, which is what the Satifam product brings to the company, but then also having a low cost of production to capitalise on that, the margin efficiency, the margin gains we get from doing that. The global opportunities, as a couple of presenters have already mentioned, is terrific. And then having this differentiated registerable product that comes out of a GMP facility is going to make a huge difference in terms of advancing the company and building on the foundations that we've put in place over the last 12 months. On the next slide, I suppose probably there's two parts to this, which is again linked to the Satifam acquisition, is that the Satifam business is currently established and product on shelf in a range of major retailers in the UK and Ireland. It's between a low dose and a high dose product. We also have a 50 milligram capsule, which is on the SAS program here in Australia, and a number of patients who are taking that on a regular basis. And we're really looking now at how do we exploit this opportunity of the existing legalized low dose CBD market. And we've got a number of conversations around licensing and partnering to take advantage of those markets where we can take forward the existing range and put it into these markets where it's legal for low dose CBD. Concurrently, we're also looking at the opportunity of registering our 50 milligram Satifam capsules. You'll hear from Amiria a little later today, and we're working closely with Amiria on a registration program to take that product forward and accelerate that program to capitalise on the opportunity that Cassandra mentioned earlier, which is a large number of patients who'll move out of the doctor-prescribed SAS market and move into the over-the-counter pharmacy-only medicine opportunity. And our timelines are, we're looking at having a product ready to launch towards the back end of next year, and that Amiria partnership is critical for us. So we see that there's significant growth opportunities in parallel with our medical market, with this low dose CBD market in the current legalized markets, but then also over the next 12 months as we move into a registered product. And what's most exciting about this, I think, for our shareholders is that this will be our first registered product, hopefully the first of many registered products that we'll put forward using this Satifam platform technology. And that's obviously where the real volume goes. We've got a very unique business model here where we can monetize and commercialize our businesses out of special access schemes and compassionate use programs around the world in markets where medicinal cannabis is legal. And then we have the opportunity to, on the top of that, to collate the data, put forward dossiers and get products registered around the world. And that's when the real volume starts to flow, and we start to see medicinal cannabis companies produce sales. And as we've seen with GW Pharma getting Epidiolex registered, is that they're transformational steps for medicinal cannabis companies in terms of their revenues, their profitabilities, and obviously their market caps. Just moving to the next slide, which is really just to summarize where we are at the moment as a business. We've spent and been very committed to proving our capability to supply material that meets the global GMP standards. So, with that, exports into the UK and to Germany, we've dumped all the hurdles that we need to do to get product on market. We continue to do that in Australia under the framework which is stands in good stead of the TGA. We're getting on and commissioning, as we had said we would do, the large-scale production and manufacturing facility here in Mildura, and as I said, on schedule for that by the end of the year. We now that we've forged these export pathways, it's really now a case of customers selling through the stock they've got, and then looking at repeat orders. And we've already got forward forecasts from all our customers out, which see steady growth over the next few years based on the work that we've been doing over the last 12 months. The registration of the S3 program is that S3 product is on track, and we look forward to getting that in market as soon as possible. Our investment in R&D and creating unique genetics or higher yielding genetic cultivars is an important part of us, as again improving the profitability, improving the efficiency of the facility that we're building here. And we've got an experienced and stable management team who continue to deliver on what we promised. So we look forward. We're certainly very happy with our progress this year, but obviously don't rest on our laurels. We've got a lot of work still to do, and getting this new facility up and running and delivering products by the end of the year is our laser sharp focus at the moment. But thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to keeping you up to date as we move through some of these milestones over the next months. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Shane. We've got quite a few questions, obviously, about the Mildura facility. If we just go back a little bit, you raised 40 million back in July, and then have drawn down a $50 million bank debt facility with NAB. Is that all to facilitate the Mildura facility?
Not all of it. Some of it was to fund working capital and some other projects as well.
Right. And so where are you manufacturing right now? And what's the kind of expected completion date for the Mildura facility?
So we're using a couple of contract manufacturers at the moment to produce products. We are on track to have the facility finished by the end of this year, and first plants coming in at the end of the year, with first crops coming out Q1 next year.
And what sort of size and scale has that given you in regards to production?
Yeah, currently we can produce about 1.5 tonne of flower a year at the moment. So around 150,000 bottles of oil in round terms. The facility here running at full capacity will be 12,500 kilos, so 12.5 tonne. So, a many magnitude difference in scale of what we can produce here. And we're going to progressively commission that facility. So that capacity will come online as the demand follows, so that we're able to do it as a staged commissioning to obviously ensure the facility runs as expected, and we don't get any surprises out of the production process.
And can you talk a little bit more about your German GMP investment? Is it called IUVO?
IUVO, yeah.
IUVO,
so,
there you go.
IUVO, a privately held business. They've been working away on flower only up until now, and I think you asked a question earlier about setting up an organisation or an affiliate in Europe, and we had again gone through that process of thinking about whether that was a prudent deployment of capital, given all the things we're trying to do here, and it made sense to us to have an investment and a tighter relationship with a group who were already on the ground, understood the regulatory framework, had already imported products, and we're dealing with physicians and pharmacists in the country. So we saw it as being a relatively low cost way of having that tighter strategic relationship, and also having that beachhead in Europe that we can then launch off into not only Germany but all the medical markets that exist in Europe.
And just a more technical question here. What is the expected time frame to get product registration for OTC for your S3 capsules? I assume there are clinical trials involved before registration.
So before we can do it, we're planning a clinical trial at the moment, which we'll get started on soon. That will feed into the broader dossier, and we've got some information that already exists out of previous R&D that's been done with those Satifarm capsules. So the current timeline is we're looking to submit that dossier by the end of the year. It's a 210 working day processing process with the TGA. So 9 to 12 months later, you'll see if you've ticked all their boxes, you'll see a product approved and on market.
And finally, question here: are you getting product consistency in terms of active ingredient? And can that be scaled up with confidence in terms of quality?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the significant part of the investment in a new facility is really how we control the environment. So one of the things that we found attractive about being in Mildura is a low level of humidity, a bit more sunlight throughout the day, helps in terms of energy utilization, but also in terms of the external environment for the glass house. But the investment that we're making in air handling and filtration and lighting within the facility really does create a very controlled, protected cropping environment for the flower, which we think significantly de-risks. And we've taken this from, our design is very similar to the Aurora projects that have been commissioned, particularly the Sky facility in Edmonton. And we've seen that they've had that reproducibility of their raw material product, which has, allowed them to, it's minimised the vagaries or the variances that you see from crop to crop and batch to batch. So we think all of that investment in the technology creates de-risks the product that we produce, which then is what the regulators are looking for. They are looking for consistency of profile, consistency of the quality of the product, that the raw material that leaves the production facility.